So, my congregation, if you'll join me in turning in your real estate Bibles to page 251. Seriously. So, our Tuesday sessions are focused on the buyer side of transactions. Okay? And I guess the question is, oh no, come, so we got you, come, be close to me. It's a huddle. We're hugging. So we're focused on the buyer side of transactions today, and I want to start off by asking, who has a process for showing homes? Like when you show, Joe, what's your process look like?
The actual showing part or leading up to that?
The actual showing part. So if you were going to show Zoe and I a house, what's your process look like?
Obviously, making sure it's available, setting up. Usually I'm showing more than one property, so I'll look at the map and see
Okay.
just so I can kind of flow and take advantage of the time,
Okay.
scheduling through showing time.
When we get to the property, do you have a process for showing the house?
I do.
Well, what is it?
First open the lock box and open the door.
That's a good start. Okay.
Try to climb through the windows, but a lot of times sellers were not happy about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I usually will open the door, let them go through first.
Okay.
Follow behind them. Ask them if they have a particular area they want to start. I'll kind of follow behind them.
Okay.
I don't think I need to point out that the room with the toilet is the bathroom and that this is the living room. I think people are kind of smart enough to figure that out.
Okay.
I will reinforce based on the reactions. If I see something that they react to a good thing, I'll remind them, oh yeah, I remember you said that this was important.
Okay.
Can you see your stuff being here? Just having conversations with them, kind of seeing what they like about it, what they don't like about it, taking notes about it as well.
Good. Good. How do you close them?
Is this a house that you'd like to put an offer on?
Okay. Good. Anybody else have a process? Like a plan when you show the house? How do you show the house, Jeff?
I mean, I normally get there, I try to get there about 10 to 15 minutes early. I go ahead and open the lockbox. If the lights are off, I'll go ahead and go in and turn the lights on so it's already on. Then I'll walk around the house before they get there. I'll look at, eaves, soffits, wood, familiarize myself with any repairs that I can see up front.
Okay.
Then I go through the house based on the listing, make sure everything's the same on the listing that it is in the house. And then I'll just kind of wait at the front door and welcome them in, and then I'll let them in.
Okay.
And then I'll just kind of let them roam. I don't
Okay.
ever direct them anywhere. I let them roam, and then I kind of follow a little bit behind them, let them talk, chit-chat.
Okay.
And then just answer questions and kind
Okay.
of direct them to certain things that they've said they liked about the house that was on the listing.
Good. So I think all these are good ideas. I want to cover with you today kind of the that Larry outlines in the Ninja Selling book, and it's from Appendix B, which starts on page 251. But he starts it off by calling it the art and science of showing property. There should be a strategy to this. What you're doing, you should be doing on purpose, and part of the system that you use for helping people make good decisions. And there is a system to it. He starts off with just some rules of thumb for showing any property. Have an MLS map. And he says this: print off a map and give it to your buyer so they can see where you are as you're looking for properties. Have you ever been out, like you're showing 10 homes, this is making the assumption that they're in the car with you, okay? And like after 4 or 5 homes, you have no idea where you are in relation to anything else, especially if they're not familiar with the area. Like, where is Georgia 400 or I-85 or 75, and where are the schools, and where's my job? And they get totally disoriented. Does that make sense? So Larry recommends, well, first have a map so they can. Second, as mentioned in step 9 of the 10-step buyer process, which is a different chapter, make sure you have active and sold properties for those. So does anybody do that? Do you pull off a one-page CMA for each neighborhood that you're going to be showing in? Okay, so that they can see where this home's listed for 300, where's that fall in the neighborhood, right? Okay. Plan your route obvious and show big values. So here's what he says about that. Big values are schools, parks, shopping, and employment centers, and so on. Small venues are homes. In appraisal, the big values support the small values. Make sure that you point out the big values on the way to showing homes. So I don't know what we're all talking about in the car while we're doing this, but Larry's saying here's something that you should be talking about. If they have kids, are the schools important?
Yes.
Yeah. How close the schools are to the home, is that important?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really important. How about shopping?
Yes.
Yeah, all these things are really important to them, either positive or negatively. They're going to be dependent on us to point them out. This is our role. Okay? This is part of, we all want to be considered a good agent. This is what your consumers would find valuable. Make sense? Okay. Park across the street. Now some of this stuff's real small, but I couldn't agree with him more. Nothing I see frustrates me more than when I see agents showing homes and they park in the driveway of the home they're showing. Don't do that. Don't do that. Listen to what he says. Your buyers will have a better view of the home than if you pull in the driveway where the only view of the home might be the garage door. Absolutely. And very few driveways in this city are level. If you have a level driveway, good for you, but most people don't. It's either like this or like this, right? Park across the street. Allow them to see the whole front exterior of the home. Now here's where it gets a little bit different. Joe says he allows them to go in first. NAR recommends that the buyer go in first and that you follow the buyer in. Here's what Larry says. Go in first. I recommend you enter the home first for 2 reasons. One reason is security and safety for your customer. If there's a dog, if there's an issue, if somebody's in the shower, it's better that you go in first than the customer. Make sense? Okay. Number 2, when they step across the threshold into the house, how many people felt like they've ever worked with a buyer that made a buying decision before they got out of the foyer? Okay. I bought a house in May. I did. We unlocked the front door. My wife walks in, and I knew in about 10 seconds that we were buying this house, regardless of what my opinion was. People don't always know that they're going to buy the house, but they know it's a distinct possibility within, I don't know, how long would y'all say?
For 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
That's on the high end.
Anybody else?
I think the first minute.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I think it might be as low as 15 seconds. There's something, and I don't know that there's science to this, but there's something to home buyers that when it's a possibility, when it's in their top 3, they know it right away. And when it's not, most of the time they don't even need to go inside. Most of the time they're just going inside because they think they're being polite. Somebody went to all the effort to be prepared for them to show up, right? So I guess we have to walk through. It would be rude not to, wouldn't it? I don't know. You could make an argument either way. It's going to be in their top 3. How many times have you found that to be they know that before they even walk in the house? Or it's just inside the front door, or they haven't gone into the other parts of the house. They just walk in, they walk through the foyer, they walk into the kitchen, and like they're in love. That happens a lot, right?
Most of the time they're already in love via pictures, and then seeing it in the flesh reinforces that.
Right. How many times have you had a home buyer be pretty neutral about the house until they got to like the 3rd bedroom, and then they went, oh my God, well this is it, because of that. You've had that happen? Is that common?
No, I mean, I'm trying to pick up cues along the way.
Right.
These people just totally surprise me.
They get to a 3rd 10 by 12 bedroom and go, oh my gosh, I didn't know it had this. Well, that's it. We got to have this. Those are an unfinished basement. You ever had anybody walk down into an unfinished basement and go, okay, this is it. We have to buy this house. Right. Everybody in this room has a car. Is there anybody that doesn't have a car? You bought your car because it has tires?
That was a nice feature.
Well, that was a good feature, yeah.
Rob, you bought your car because it has an engine?
I did.
You did.
And other things, but needed that.
See how it works? And people do the same thing. So it has 4 bedrooms. Well, whoop-de-doo. And we got to cut this stuff out in the listing. Like, I swear, in the 40-some pictures that you get on your listings, if you didn't put any pictures of the side bedrooms, I think people would go hooray. I don't need to see any more pictures of a 10 by 12 bedroom with Michael Jordan poster on the wall.
I saw a listing of it, it had 100 and something photos on it.
I don't think FMLS will take that, will they?
Now, apparently.
Why do you need that many photos?
I don't know, I
Sorry?
felt so
Okay.
tired after looking at it, I was like, I don't want to do any show.
I thought 40 was enough.
There's only so many things any house, unless you have a multi-million-dollar mansion. I agree with you. 40 pictures pretty much does it. Now you're just showing pictures of 10 by 12 square rooms, right?
Everything go up though.
Yeah.
Right. Here's why when they step across the hill, he's recommending you go in first, and then you watch their reaction. Now this is a higher level of salesmanship. You're now not thinking about you at all. You're not thinking about anything else. You're watching Greg and his wife, and you're watching how they react to the home as they experience it. This is skill. Okay? I can watch Greg and his wife's reaction, and I know whether I even need to attempt any type of closing process or not. Why would I try to close Greg on every house? Greg, they walk in and they're going, oh my God, did you see this wallpaper? And I say, so Greg, when would you like to move in? And Greg's going to think that we're totally disconnected and I don't understand anything about what they're looking for and what's wrong with me. Is he going to try to close me on every house? Yes, I was taught to do that. Mike Ferry says to close, constantly be closing. Didn't you ever watch Glenn Ross? Constantly be closing. Why would you try to close somebody on something they don't like? And how would you know if they don't like it if you're not watching their reaction? Are they in agreement with the house? Are they going ooh and ah? Are they going, can we go yet, or do we have to spend more time here? Right? So Larry's recommending that we go in first to make sure there's no dogs, cats, or naked people running around in the house. And when they follow in behind us, now we watch them. Watch and listen. So here's what he says. When they step across the threshold, watch their eyes. If your buyers go in first, you're looking at their butts. I modified that a bit. If your buyers like the home, their eyes will dilate. Okay, you know that? You know the physical response pattern? You know why you're... Because when Shelley, when you met Clay and you thought he was cute, your pupils dilate, and that makes you more attractive. Mm-hmm. Jeff, it doesn't make you attractive, it makes you more attractive. Okay? It makes you as attractive as you can possibly be. You ever think about it? Like to hook up with somebody, what are they? Like, Greg, somebody married you?
I can't believe it.
So I've met her. I get why Greg married her. I get why she married Greg. But what are the odds that Greg would meet somebody that he found attractive and likable and compatible? Now think about that. He had to think that she was hot, and he had to like her as a human, right? And he had to think that he could live with her every day. The odds of that are not good. Now, she has to think the same thing about him. Well, that ain't happening. When we see something attractive, okay, so when I see Siobhan, I go, hey, baby. I know, that's creepy, isn't it? Hey, baby, how you want your eggs in the morning? When I see something attractive, whether it's a person or it's a thing, my pupils dilate. It's a physiological response that I can't control. It just happens. Watch people. You won't be able to see their pupils dilate. Their eyes will seem bigger to you. You heard the expression wide-eyed? That's what that means. Like, you can tell when people like something and when they don't. Girls, can you not tell when a guy likes you? Go back to high school. Can you think of when you met and you know, like, I know he's got it for me. Hey, baby. You know. How do you know? We're putting off vibes, right? Well, those vibes you were created to pick up on. And that's what Larry said. Watch them. Watch them. They'll tell you non-verbally whether they like it or not. Their eyes will dilate. It occurs when people see something they like. If they don't like what they see, their eyes will contract. And they will become beady-eyed, like squinting, right? Right. Like, oh my God, did you see that wallpaper? Watching their eyes gives you an early cue if they like or dislike the home. Okay? Safety note. Now he does add this. If your buyer is a stranger, and especially if you're a female, why are the girls up here and the guys back there? This is like high school or something, right? Especially if you're a female, the National Association of Realtors recommends that you never turn your back when showing a home. In that case, you would invite them to enter first. If you have any safety concern at all, then you stay behind them. Okay, and you give up on the don't worry about the nonverbal signals. Your safety is much more important. Key point, watch their body language. Watch it. Pay attention to it. Be careful. And he says this, I have it highlighted, underlined, and asterisked. Note to self. Be careful about talking too much when showing property. Be careful about talking too much when showing property. Be careful about talking too much when showing property. We do this. It is a disease in our industry. We're nervous. We're not prepared. We're winging it. And the way we deal with that is we never shut the hell up. And this is what your consumers are saying. Like, they get back, let's say their hotel room that night, and they go, oh God, Greg, have we got to spend the whole day with her again tomorrow? I don't think I can do it, dude. She just never shuts up. You're in close quarters for hours, and you are just this all the time because you're nervous and you're unprepared and you're not skilled, and you are driving them batshit crazy. Larry says, shut up. Be careful about talking too much. Instead, listen and observe your buyer's behavior and conversation for clues as to what they think of the house. It's going to be their house. What they think is the only thing that's important. If they like the house, you'll see buying signals, such as sitting down in the home. Watch them. They sit down in the living room, or they pull out a chair in the kitchen, sit down at the kitchen table. That's a buying signal. I'm comfortable here. I like it here. I want to spend some time here. Except I had a customer not too long ago that every house we went in, he went right to the living room and sat down in the recliner. Every house has a recliner for some reason. And pulled it back and kicked his feet up. I'm like,
Wait for y'all to get down there.
just like, dude, you need to cut that out. Like the house, you'll see buying signals such as sitting down in the home, going through the home more than once, and mentally moving in, placing furniture, picking kids' rooms. Oh, this room would be perfect for Susie. Buying signal. Oh, they ain't picking out bedrooms for the kids when they don't like the house. Right? We call this doing the dance. If they're doing the dance, they're telling you this is a possibility, but you have to pay attention. His next point, see the house again. Point out features and rooms of the house that may not have been noticed. That's the role of the agent. Positive or negative? Did you see the water stain on the ceiling up there? No, we didn't. We were too busy looking at the house. Right, it's something to pay attention to. We want to have that checked out. Okay, you're adding an observation. If you're not sure whether they like the home, some buyers are difficult to read. Some people play their cards very close to the vest. Ask this question: is there any portion of the home you'd like to see again before we leave? Now, if they don't like the house, what are they going to say? No, we were just doing our time. But if they do like the home, there probably is. I'll be a little, what do you call it when you call everybody? I got old man brain freeze right now. So the guy will probably want to see the basement or the garage, and the wife will probably want to see the kitchen. What do they call that?
Stereotypical.
Stereotypical, right, yeah. So,
You should place your eggs.
right. Next point. Best part of the house. Make sure you, this is so important. This is why I love this book. Some of this stuff doesn't sound like earth-shattering stuff. It's skill. It's minor, it seems subtle, but it's the skill of the process. He calls this best part of the home. Make sure you discuss the buyer's feelings about the home when you are standing in the best part of the house. Usually it's the kitchen, the family room, or the backyard. Ideally, stand in front of the house, stand in the part of the house the buyer most liked. A common mistake, like 99.9% of the time, realtors make in showing homes, especially homes with basements, is that they will show the upper floors first, then they end up in the basement next to the furnace, and they ask the buyer, so how do you feel about this home? Don't ask them how they feel about a home in an unfinished basement.
I always show the basement first.
It's a good idea. And you want to keep them together. Why do you want to keep them together?
Keep the people together.
Uh-huh.
So you can listen and hear each person.
Exactly. And it's safety. Why? Well, if you don't know these people well, and one person goes one direction and one other person goes another direction, how do you know that they're not doing something inappropriate in the house? So how do you get them to stay together?
Let's stay together.
There you go. Ask them. Hey guys, can I ask you a favor? When we go in to look at homes, can you do me a favor? Can we all three stay together in the home? Really for two reasons. It's a promise that we made to the homeowners, right? They've opened their house up to the public. So we'd like to honor that commitment. And secondly, I want to hear what you both have to say. I can help you better whether you want to buy the house or not, it's not that important. I want to hear what you like and you don't like. Is that okay? And then when you go to the first house and you open up the front door and they go in the front door, are they going to stay together? No, they're not. And that's when you have to say, hey guys, can I ask you, I know it's a pain, but can we stay together? Can we do that? And people will go along with it, though you might have to remind them frequently. They're not being cantankerous. They just have their own, especially if they like the house. So I would go straight to the backyard and my wife would go straight to the kitchen. And she wouldn't want to wait for me to get to the kitchen. Questions? Anybody disagree? Stages. By watching your buyer's behavior, now this is skill. If you're all in your own head and you're thinking about you and you're thinking about like we're behind schedule and we have to be at the next house on showing time in the next 10 minutes and we're 20 minutes away and how am I going to deal with this? And you're not thinking about them, you're not watching them, you're not paying attention to what they say, and you are not prepared and you are not skilled, and you are going to show a lot more homes than I will. And this is partly why we say this. We say things like this all the time. Some of us don't say it out loud, we just think it. Buyers are liars. These people won't make a decision. They can't make up their minds. How long am I going to have to work with them? And every time I hear somebody say that or indicate it, I think, maybe Maybe. Or maybe some salespeople are just weak and unskilled. Maybe they can't make a decision, or maybe you're not skilled at helping them facilitate a decision. They're the amateur, we're the professional. Are they not making a decision because they're indecisive and not committed and not serious and not motivated? Or are we actually junking up the process and making it hard for them? I don't know, but I know where I'd place my bet. You want people to be more decisive and the whole process to be more efficient? Be more skilled. Be more prepared. And when you go, no, I am prepared, I am skilled, I've got a system and a process that I'm operating here, and you're not being decisive, then I go along with it. I say, well, then that might be somebody you don't have time to work with right now. But our preparation and our skill has to be there first, because sometimes that will allow us to facilitate a process for people that have a hard time making a decision. One of the biggest parts of my coaching program with you guys, and the reason why I want to be meeting with you every week, is because there's a common characteristic that we all have. And when I say all, I get that you can't say something that applies to everybody in one group of people, but sometimes you can. And it's this. As an industry, we are one of the most disorganized group of people on the planet. And that's what makes us good. And it is actually one of the key components that draws us to the business. But an overwhelming percentage of us run around with our hair on fire all the time because we're not great at getting ourselves organized. So one of the key parts of my coaching program is to help you create a process that will increase your organizational ability. Has anybody ever heard us talk about having a weekly schedule? A few times. How about with our new coaching software platform where you create actions or tasks for yourself each week? What do you think I'm doing? I'm taking a group of people who are not organized as a general rule. The general rule only applies to like 99.9% of them. And trying to give them a process of getting organized. Why? Because it's my job to help you facilitate more transactions in less time. And there's only one way you're ever going to be able to do that. You know what the most common thing I get is? I don't think it's physically possible to sell 1,000 houses a year. Like they're challenging me, like they're calling me a liar. And you know what my answer to that always is? Yasleen, the way you do it, it's not possible. I'd quit doing it that way. Larry's saying the same thing here. Stages. By watching your buyer's behavior, which means you're prepared, organized, and skilled, that allows you to be able to watch their behavior, you can determine what stage of the buying process they're in. It's not that hard. What's hard is you actually have to shut up and watch them. That's hard. I don't know if it's possible. Because as my wife tells me 3 times a day, it's all about me. Everything, all the time, every day, it's all about me. But Larry says buyers typically go through these 4 stages. Curiosity, desire, and commitment. If they're in the desire stage, you'll notice the buying signals. Most of the time, they'll poke you in the face with it. And it's appropriate then to start asking soft closing questions. Is this one of your top 3?
Can you repeat those for me? You said curiosity?
Curiosity, interest, desire, and commitment. It's page 253. A soft closing question would be, Yasleen, is this one of your top 3?
Yeah.
Good. Never ask soft closing questions. Never ask soft closing questions unless you're sure they're in the desire stage, right? That would be dumb. It would alienate them from you. Greg and his wife were walking around the house going, oh my God, people live like this? Greg, would you say this is in one of your top 3? Like, what a dumbass thing to say, right? He's given all the signs that they just can't get out of here fast enough to get in the car and start making fun of this house, right? And I'm going to ask him if it's in his top 3. There's a ending section to this that I'm going to encourage you to pay attention to. Anybody have a problem with buyer's remorse? Like, we put it under contract and now they're not returning my call, email, text messages. I can't get them to give me the earnest money deposit. You've had that? Then you want to go to page 253 and read about avoiding buyer's remorse. Okay? It can be avoided or minimized by doing a few key actions before you leave the house when they say they want to buy it. But what we can get really guilty of, and me too, like, Siobhan, is this the house?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
Let's get the hell out of here and go make an offer before somebody else does. And then Siobhan is going to get home that night and all of these parental voices that she's grown up with her whole life are going to start picking at her. You don't make good decisions. Why'd you do that? There you go again. You never look before you leave. You've done this since you were a little girl. She's heard this her whole life. Those are her parental voices. Everybody around here goes, well, there you go again. And so she starts saying this to herself. I don't make good decisions. I don't. That last boyfriend I had, that wasn't a good decision. I make bad decisions. This is another bad decision I'm making. I want out of this. Some people call it cold feet. It's legitimate. Lots of people go through this. Very few people are so emotionally healthy that they just think they make good reasoned decisions and they can trust themselves. Have you ever had a buyer want to bring a relative in for their opinion? That's what's going on. They're scared. That's a deal killer. They're never going to like the house because they weren't part of the selection process. But what's going on there is the customer doesn't trust their own decision making. I make bad decisions. That's what I do. So any house I would like is not a good house. I need to bring Greg in and get Greg's okay for anything. Well, then Greg's got to be part of the whole process, not just bringing him in on that one house. But read the buyer's remorse. And then there's the next chapter, Appendix C, is soft closing questions. Look, you don't have to drop the hammer on people. You don't. You ask them a soft closing question like, Siobhan, would you say this is in the top 3 of the ones we've looked at?
Absolutely.
Great. Where would you rank it in the top 3?
Probably second.
Okay, great. Do you, second, what's number 1?
I like the house in Buckhead.
You like that one better. Okay, great. Do you think we should make a second visit there?
I would be open to that.
Good. Got to get a whole avoiding buyer's remorse. Don't let her get home tonight and go, you know, I really didn't pay enough attention when we were in the basement. I really don't remember it. Do you remember it? I don't remember it either. I mean, Mike was just kind of rushing us around. Slow down. We get guilty of such exuberance. When Siobhan says she finally wants to buy that house, I can't wait to get the hell out of there and go make the offer. She's going to back out. Slow down. Let's make another round through the house. Here, make sure they take the seller's disclosure statement with them. Make sure that if the listing agent has a floor plan or any information, make sure she takes it all with her. You don't want her to get home all by herself without you there and start going, I don't remember, how big was that 3rd bedroom? Is that going to be big enough for our son? I don't even remember the bathrooms up there. And then see how I said it? I'm starting to get mad, angry. Why? I'm scared. It's a big decision. What if I'm making a mistake? slow them down a little bit. That's fine, we can make the offer, but another round through the house won't mean make or break to us. Let's take another look. Go out in the backyard, make sure that'll work for you. Make sense? Questions? There's a process and a skill to this, and people that are driving people around for months and months, it might be the customer, but probably not. It's probably the agent, and the lack of preparation and skill to help facilitate the process. When you understand that, you will become less and less tolerant of people who think there isn't any skill and aren't prepared, but still have the audacity to have the same expectations that you do. It's hard. It's not complex. There's nothing I think we talked about this morning. Most people would go, that's it, Mike? Like, let them, it matters who walks through the door first? It does. It does matter. And being prepared so that you can be quiet and pay attention to the other person is critical. Or they're going to think that you are chatty Kathy, Buckhead Betty, the real estate agent, who won't shut up and just talks about themselves all the time. Why? Because they do. Why? They're not prepared. They're nervous and they're filling dead space. We good?
Yep.